New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams. NYC.
Yep. What's going on? This is Jay Ellis from the Knick of Time Show. Here to give you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time, and I'm in a new place, new background. Sound not set up, but you know we're set up. The Knicks set up, all right? Because the Knicks beat the Wizards 118 to 109, and we had 4 players today in double figures. Today we had Obi Toppin, who had a season high 21 points for assist. We also had Mitchell Robinson, who had 8 points and 11 rebounds. Emmanuel quickly joins the 2020 club with 22 points, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds. Jalen Brunson chips in with 22 points, 8 assists. Quentin Grimes, the one, he showed up with 27 points as well and 2 rebounds. And the Knicks really did their job on the defensive end. They forced a lot of turnovers today. 18 turnovers to be exact, forced by the Washington Wizards. They scored 21 points off of turnovers and fast break points, 18 to 15 advantage Knicks. And we're going to talk about it all, the good, not so bad really, and more good. So let's go. No gunshots today, but I'm busting my finger in the sky. Let's go Knicks. Rah, rah. That's what we're going to do. All right, let's go. So let's get it. But before we get into the details of the game, shout out to Fubu TV. If you want to watch the Knicks for free for 7 days, head to FubuTV.com/KT to watch the Knicks for free for 7 days. If you want to keep it, you pay a little bit of money, you get a cut, and everybody's happy. All right, so shout out to Fubu TV. And I'm going to introduce you to my guys. First and foremost, it is the man, the myth, the legend, the guy with stats and facts.
Ryan G's in the building. Knicks are in the playoffs. The vibes are immaculate. We outside.
And of course, you already know it is my man, ESPN contributor, posting contributor, best big contributor, the Latin assassin, Lee.
Let's go.
Scabio. What's going on, Lee?
I want to thank everyone for their contributions, raising money to free Jay Ellis. The ransom was high, but the man was worth it. You know, Ryan did a great job holding down the show, but it's not the same without our fearless leader in charge here. So thank you, everyone, for the nickels and pennies y'all contributed. We were able to bail our man out. He's here and he's outside.
Yeah, man, the Nets fan got me, man, because these guys, as you know, I moved to Jersey, and, you know, the Nets fans, all stopping grounds are in Jersey, so they helped me hostage. So thank you guys for freeing me with some money and super chat. I appreciate all you guys, all right? And I just appreciate a good job, Ryan G. Lee, holding it down without us. And shout out to Fritz, too, the best mind in the game, most like Facet over here, running the backgrounds, you know, tweeting us, he's doing it all. So shout out to that guy, Fritz, the best mind in the game.
Yep.
But let's talk about this game. I gotta talk about the hot takes too that Levy takes, because Levy leaves a hot take in the back pocket. I swear.
Let's talk about it.
But before we go, let's talk about the game first. Let's talk about the game first. This is one of those games that reminds us why Leon Rose and the staff is Coach of the Year. I mean, front office of the year candidates, because we are missing 40 points from the starting lineup in RJ Barrett and Julius Randle. And somehow we're still able to get it done. Emmanuel quickly is still dropping 20 on you. Quentin Grimes, who's been struggling all season, has all of a sudden found his stride. And now he's averaging over 20 a game with 50 from the field and 50 from 3. The depth of this team is immaculate, and we're clicking at the right time. And it all has a lot to do with the depth that we have is more dangerous. And we were worried about that at the beginning of the season because our bench was a net negative until halftime, until the second half of the season. But now, it's all coming together, man. It's linking together. So kudos for these Knicks, and kudos for this win, because this win was gutted out because of the depth of Obi, Grimes, and IQ. So Lee, I'm gonna let you start off. What do you have to say about this Knicks And if you want to add something to what I said, go ahead and do that.
Man, this is a lineup that Knicks fans in certain corners of Twitter always want to see, with RJ and Julius Randle sitting, the pace picked up. And it's nice to see that Brunson's capable of pushing the tempo and getting some transition buckets, because we haven't seen a whole lot of that in his time with the Knicks and his time in Dallas. Dallas was dead last in pace last year as well, even though they were a different team defensively than they are now. So it was nice to see Brunson have that extra wrinkle to his game. It was fun. I don't think that team could win more than 35, 36 games, but it was really fun to watch. What me and Ryan talked about last episode was we wanted to see more of that when Randle sits. There's really no excuse to slow it down and let Brunson and RJ, dribble the air out of the ball in ISO sets. I'd much rather see us utilize Hart and Hartenstein's advanced passing and the outlets for easy buckets in transition, because a lot of guys show tonight, but they're great catch and shoot, 3-point shooters and Grimes and quickly. And we got a lot of guys in drive to the basket, really smart, durable guys. Grimes and Hart both were awesome driving to the basket. They find angles, hitting tough shots, absorbing contact. So I want to see a lot more transition, and I want to see a lot more of Obi and Mitch utilized in lob and pick and roll opportunities where they're going downhill instead of, forcing Obi in the corner and Mitch really having to fight for offensive rebounds just to get some points. But overall, it was awesome showing, a game that we should have won with them not having Bradley Beal. I liked a lot of the effort I saw from some of the bench guys.
Yeah, absolutely. 30 to your point, about the assists, we had 32 assists on the day. So your wish is at command. You move the ball a lot more without RJ and Julius Randle in there. And you push the pace too. Shout out to Josh Hart. I feel like I think Hans said it. His play has been infectious with everybody is now pushing the pace and getting into that type of action of I'm getting the rebound, I'm finding Obi, I'm throwing the ball down, and we're getting those easy buckets. So it's all working for us right now. The only thing I really want to see more of is the defense, which I saw a bit of late. But before I even get to that, I'm gonna pass it on to Ryan G. Let me know what you got. G?
Yeah, so the way this game started out, there's a saying that goes, hard work always beats talent that does not work hard. And I feel like that's what happened in the first half, because I feel like what happened was there was no Beal, no KP. So the Knicks are going into that game kind of yawning, no Gig, no Beal, this should be piece of cake or whatever the case may be. But the Wizards came out to play, and they pretty much smacked the Knicks in the mouth early. But then when the second half came around, it was like Knicks talent took over, because now the Knicks talent started to work hard, and that works hard is going to always be hard work. So that's what happened in the second half. But the Knicks played good tonight. I'm glad to see 32 assists, because without RJ, without Julius on the floor, you only have one elite ISO player in Brunson. So therefore, you have to pass the ball around to get, to take good quality shots. And I'm glad to see the Knicks did that. And I was really impressed with Obi Toppin's game tonight. 21 points in 33 minutes. Definitely played well tonight. One rebound, that's the only gripe I have with Obi's game.
Yeah,
it's the rebound.
Numbers, yeah.
But besides that, Obi played a good game tonight. I definitely got to give him his props. And Grimes too. The Grimes that we're seeing right now, it's like Grimes is peaking at the right moment. Because if this is the Grimes that we get in the playoffs, oh my gosh, the Knicks are going to be hell. So I'm glad Grimes is peaking right now. But yeah, this was a great win by the Knicks tonight. First half was shaky, but I'm glad to see them turn around the second half.
Facts.
Man, in the beginning of the season, I thought that this team was better than our COVID team. I didn't think it was going to be as high a seed, though, because I felt like the competition in the East was going to be a lot tougher this season. But, Nets imploded and all that stuff. That's neither here nor there. One of the big reasons why I thought the team was going to be better was because I saw the potential of Quentin Grimes versus what a guy like Reggie Bullock was giving us. Reggie Bullock could hit some threes. But I seen rookie year, Quentin Grimes is a guy who can hit threes in big moments and play defense. And there was still a little bit more to this game. We saw a little bit of that in summer league. when he was taking over playing a little bit of the point guard spot. So like Ryan said, he's peaking at exactly the right time. I know some good people in Knicks Nation were kind of low on him because they felt like his shooting numbers pedestrian, but you still have to remember these guys are still young guys who are learning and developing. This is his first year being a starting shooting guard in the NBA, where people already know his tendencies from last year, and now he has to adjust this year. And at this point in the season, I feel like he's adjusted to how people are playing him. He's adjusted to how aggressive teams are going to close out on him because they know he's a shooter now. And he's putting it all together with the shooting and the passing and the diamond, and he's letting it fly. We called him Baby Allen Houston, Baby Klay Thompson for a reason, and it's all coming together at the perfect time. I hope he carries momentum with him in the playoffs.
I agree. I think we've all said this multiple times this season on the podcast that he's such a plug and play player. He doesn't need a whole lot of plays ran for him. It helps when you have some pin downs or people are setting screens and getting them wide open on perimeter against lesser defenders. But for the most part, no matter what other four guys are on the court with him, Hartenstein, Mitch, Brunson, McBride, he's going to catch the ball and drill a three. He's going to make really smart rim reads. He's really great at closeouts, attacking closeouts and getting to the hoop. He's just a really smart, high IQ player that has sneaky athleticism. But, he's not super limited in terms of footwork and speed, but he has enough to get by most defenders in the NBA outside of Lou Dortz of the world. So the ceiling isn't super high, but I think it's as high as an RJ Barrett. I really do, because of his three-point shooting is already there. And that's what usually separates guys from being able to take another step forward or not. And he has that and defense.
Yeah, it's crazy. RJ Barrett has this thing where he can play slower and punish guys. Right now, Quentin Grimes is quick moving, one speed. If it's ever in Quentin's life where you can have that other speed where it's just not fast, but I can slow the game down and punish you that way, then he will go to a whole other stratosphere. But he's done very well this season. I'm not sure. I want to bring it up to Obi too, because I see people in the chats like, Obi. I heard you. Obi, I want to talk about him a little bit more. The rebounding is still not there, but this is like another example of when players get playing time, they can just score more. Season high for Obi Toppin. We've seen it with what's the dude's name on Kispert, right? Corey Kispert, everybody. He got a career out of day, but I don't feel bad about it because he's in a different role now. He's playing more minutes now. And sometimes what happens when you're a guy coming off the bench and you have other guys in front of you, you don't get the chance to show the stuff you have. And the guys in the broadcast said it perfectly today. It happened with Jalen Brunson last year when he's been Luka. It's been happening with Emmanuel quickly when he's been with the Knicks. And so this is the same thing that's happening with Pittsburgh. Emmanuel quickly had a 30 or a triple-double last year at the end of the season. So I'm not harping too much on his Corey Kispert thing. But listen, Obi Toppin, he got more time. He's showing more. He's showing to do. I still believe Obi Toppin could be a 20-point scorer in the NBA even 30 minutes a game. The defense still has to come around a little bit healthy more, but he's showing what he can do. He did have a nice defensive play though. He did have some nice defensive play. What do you think of Obi's game?
Yeah, like I said, Obi had an impressive game tonight. Like you said, he did have some defensive lapses, which is expected of Obi. Obi's not the best defender in the world, but there was one play specifically in the game that I want to point to where I think Obi deserved major props because he made up for a big mistake he made. I think it was in the fourth quarter, I believe, where he took a deep three and he airballed the three. And then he brought the ball up the court. And then I forgot who went up for the layup, but then Obi blocked that layup. And then I think he ended up scoring on the other end of the court after he blocked it on top of that. So, plays like that is what's going to keep Obi on this team, because even though he's not the greatest defender, the one thing you can say about Obi is that he shows a lot of effort when he plays. Yeah. He's always high energy when he's on the court. And he gets you easy baskets in transition. Also, he's an alley-oop threat as well. So, I think what this mainly shows is that it just shows how deep the Knicks really are, because this is a guy that gets, he's lucky if he gets 13 minutes in a game.
Yeah.
When the team is fully healthy. And now you see that he gets 33 minutes in a game, and then all of a sudden he's 9 of 15 from the field, 3 of 8 from 3, 21 points, 4 assists. Of course, you would like him to rebound more, like you said, because, he's a big man, so you expect him to grab more rebounds, but it just shows how deep the Knicks really are, like from 1 to 9.
Yeah.
If this kid was on the Orlando Magic, Toronto Raptors, Charlotte Hornets, he would be averaging 20 and 5, I think, easily this season. I think his athleticism and his three-point shot alone would let him average 20 points. He might even get a few more of that based on free throw attempts if he was getting to the hoop more and getting some calls. But I mean, he's buried on the bench behind an MVP candidate, judging by NBA.com. All-star, more than likely, all-NBA. There's not much you can do about that. And I don't blame Tom Thibodeau for playing Randle as much as he does at this point in the season, because he gives you the best shot at winning a game. So it's unfortunate that Thibodeau can't play a small ball lineup with Randle at the 5 and Obi at the 4 more consistently, so that all those stats and analytics can rise, because you get a greater sample size. With a small sample size, we have like 5 or 7 instances to look at, and it looks really bad. But I think in a greater span of opportunity, it would rise a little bit in its efficiency. And Obi obviously can't play with 3 either, because he would get cooked on defense.
Right.
And his rebounding would be atrocious. It already is. It's the worst part of his game. I think even worse than his defense. But I think he's probably going to end up being traded this summer, which sucks. That's not hurt our depth, but I really feel like that's the piece that's moved along with some draft capital to upgrade our small forward spot, moving RJ to a 2, or even including RJ. I just feel like it's starting to be Obi that's going to be moved, because that extension's, looming ahead next summer. So I love the kid. He just brings such a joy when he comes on the court, and I hope it doesn't affect IQ staying here too, with them being best friends. But yeah, it's unfortunate how things played out, but I think he'll get an opportunity somewhere. I wish it was the Knicks.
I just feel like, IQ's going to want his money. Like, IQ is going to want time, and he's going to want money. And unfortunately, for IQ to get his money, because between the 40-point game that IQ had versus the Heat and his showing on national TV versus the Celtics, price going up, sir. Like Joe said, if the price is not today's price, it's going to be even more costly to keep him. So unfortunately, I agree with you. I do see Obi Toppin being a casualty of that. But it sucks for us, but at the same time, when your organization does such a good job stacking talent from front to back, this is kind of what happens. Like what happens when you do a good job drafting and getting free agents, and when you don't suck at your job, good talent goes out the doors. That's unfortunately kind of what we might be experiencing, unless Obi just magically goes, "Hey guys, I'm paid me. Give me $2 million a year for the rest of my career." Like, I don't see that. So I agree with you. I definitely agree. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Carl.
Not really. I mean, I pretty much said my piece on Obi. Great game tonight by Obi.
Got you. Salute to the chat, man. I'm out. Free J. Ellis is in effect. Thank you guys for getting me out. The Nets fans got me. They mad. They trying to hold me for ransom. They mad because they trying to get the 5th seed in the playoffs. But we're not trying to let them have it. All right, we're gonna win this game. Listen, the Knicks are in a position where I've heard them talk about it on layers, where we tied the season series, right? And then I think we have the edge in not the conference series, but what's the bracket in the conference?
Division.
There we go. We have, I think, an 8-7 edge in the division series over them. If the Nets beat the 76ers, they'll be tied in the division. Then after that, it'll be the conference. Who's won more games in the conference? And that's why today's game was important, because the Wizards are in the conference. So we win one more. I believe we win one more game in our conference. We will have the 5th spot. So the work is not done. We still got some more work to do. We have the Pacers twice. I believe we'll win at least one of those games. We have a lot of the 5th seed, and we might see a lot more Deuce McBride here on out.
Yep.
Yeah, but salute to the chat. Salute to Angrill, Fritz. We survived. We surveyed 100 people, NBIC, everybody rocking with the show. I have minor critiques. My only minor critique, because we've been on the full game this streak, is the defense. Like we said, I still feel like we were better defensively than me. Before All-Star break, I thought we were better defensively before All-Star break. I feel like we're slipping a little bit there, even though we're winning. Our offense is just kind of taking off and just starting to beat teams over the head. With the exception of maybe the Heat game. So I think our perimeter defense still has to be a little bit better. The Wizards really got what they wanted because it was able to penetrate and dish us to death. Shout out to Mitch, though. I feel like Mitch is starting to be a little bit more aware of how bad the perimeter defense has been. And his blocks per game has been going up. But we need to help Mitch out, keep him out of foul trouble, because as you know, if your perimeters keep being compromised, your center is also compromised for having to recover from that, because he can get fouls from that. So we need to clean that up. And hopefully we use this opportunity to tighten up the defense moving forward, going into the playoffs. Shout out to Mitch for doing these things. And shout out to Quentin Grimes and those guys for picking it up. All right. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that. I'm going to move on.
Yeah, the defense has been a concern, but I think the only reason I'm not really overly worried is just the fact that the Knicks offense has picked up.
Yeah.
So, of course, the Knicks offense has picked up, but not only that though, is the fact that even in these games where the Knicks defense has kind of, been slipping a bit, the Knicks has still shown an ability that they can still make stops when need be. And I think that's what's most important in the playoffs. So I think the fact that the Knicks offense has stepped it up a notch, and the fact that their defense can still make stops when need be, I'm not overly worried. Now, if the Knicks offense was just straight buns and then on top of that they can't stop anybody, then I would be like, whoa, like, yeah, that's a cause of concern. But just the fact that they've displayed in these games that despite the defense been slipping a little bit, they can still make those stops when need be, and the offense is still rolling. I'm not as overly concerned.
I agree with that. That's a good point. That's a good point. Also, shout out to NBIC, says Randle's worth is high now. Trade him.
Oh,
I want to address that too. Like, too many times when star players go down and teams win anyway, so sometimes fan bases go, "Oh, we didn't need him anyway." And I just want to pause right there and just let you guys know, hey, two good players are better than this is really simple math. Two good players are better than one. This is a Wizards team. The playoffs are going to be a different animal. And in the playoffs, you're going to want those guys who are going to cause double teams, who are going to be able to handle pressure like Jalen Brunson and finish off games. So I don't want you guys to get ahead of yourself and go, "Oh, we don't need all these guys anyway." No, we still need these guys. If we're a deeper team, if you look at our team right now, we have 4 guys in double figures. And everybody else, 9 points, 2 points, 2 points, 3 points, And it's great that our 4 guys have been able to score double figures, but we can't expect to have those guys carry the load every day. Like some days, the load is going to be lessened for those guys and they're going to be off. And that's when you have the other guys coming in and picking up the slack. So depth is needed. Depth is the strength of our team. And I would like to keep our depth as much as possible. Me personally.
Yeah, and you see, this is the kind of stuff I talk about, because I addressed this on the last podcast. Like, okay, so tonight, the Knicks win. They clinch a playoff berth. They're pretty much 1 game away from clinching the 5th seed. It's a successful season, but yet you always have to have somebody to bring up some negative and be like, yeah, we should trade Randle while his value is high. Like, this is the stuff I talk about. Like, is it like, I like Obi, but let's not blow it out of proportion. He had a good game tonight. It was against a Wizards team without KP and without Bradley Beal. Let's not blow it out of proportion. And then on top of that, he only grabbed 1 rebound tonight. Like, I like Obi, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to just trade Randle, who's an all-star player this year, for a guy that, yes, he's athletic and yes, he provides energy, but come on, as a big, only grab a 1 rebound and his defense is suspect? Like, come on now, man. Like, this is stuff I can't stand from Knicks fans. It's crazy to me. It's wild.
Yeah, it is. We've also never seen Obi Toppin operate as this primary scoring option over an 82-game season, facing double teams and the opposing team's best deep defenders. Like the sample size aren't even equal because it's not even just KP and Beal. Kyle Kuzma's out too. Like they're missing their 3 best players and 3 highest scorers. Like this is an exhibition game right now. I mean, the fact that Corey Kispert was a lean store for them tells you everything you need to know about the depth of their roster and the talent that was out there on the floor at night. You put Obi through the same ringer that Julius Randle was put through in the last 3 seasons. The stats, efficiencies, and metrics aren't near the same.
Yeah, like I love Obi, but you got to consider the talent in the competition. Like,
of course,
Obi versus Evan Mobley, it was a different situation. Like we got to, and this is not this is what I hate because I'm not trying to dip on Obi because I like Obi as a player. But you have to put things in context as well. That's all I'm saying. All right. But still a good win. We had no RJ. We had no Randle. Our depth is out depth their depth. And that's why we won. Pretty much. So shout out to the front office. Shout out to this Knicks team who have clinched a playoff berth. They are going to be sixth place in the East. And we can clinch 5th for another game and kick the Nets in the nuts one more time. Because we already know freaking Dallas is kicking us in the nuts because they just lost to the freaking. I wish I had the broad bucket for this because they just lost to the Atlanta Hawks, and now we might not a pick this season. It sucks.
Facts.
Yeah.
Kyrie's the gift that keeps on. All right. Yo, let's talk about. I don't know if you guys. I was watching this show last show. I still have to watch the other show. It's been crazy, man. It's been super crazy. But I'm going to watch the last show and parts of last Miami. But Lee brought up something interesting, and I want to talk about this. Hot take McGee is out when I'm not.
Let's go. Let's talk about it.
The Knicks are making the finals.
Yeah, they are.
Explain this to me. Explain the Knicks making the finals.
Well, I've been on a really good run of takes. I know I'm definitely known for hot takes. The 50 burger is statistically impossible, but 49 is not. And if we end up winning 48 or 49 games, it's not a 50 burger, but damn, it's close. So I'm feeling real good about that. Said this would be Tom Thibodeau's best coaching season with the Knicks. Feeling good about that. Said Julius Randle was an MVP candidate. Felt good about that. So my hot takes have so far lined up pretty well. I said, you know what? Let's take it a step further, and say we're going to the finals. Because I think most NBA experts agree that in both conferences, this is the greatest level of parity we've seen, man, maybe in 20 years, maybe even 30 years. We haven't seen this level of a playing field in the East and the West in a really long time. There's no Shaq, Kobe, Lakers, Tim Duncan, Spur, Chris Bosh, Wade, LeBron, Miami, Golden State Warriors with or without KD. There's not a team like that right now. Like the Warriors are in sixth place in the West. Denver looks very beatable defensively. They're poor. And Chris Middleton with the Bucks is not playing that well this season. He's either injured or has some off-the-court issues. I don't know what's going on, but he's averaging below his career average of 17 a game. So I think that the Bucks are beatable. I think the Bucks are a better team than the Knicks. They're a better team than the Knicks. They had the best player in the world in Giannis. I can't even pronounce his last name. I'm even going to try. Absolutely, he's the best player in the world. But they're beatable in a 7-game series because the Knicks are the hot team going to the playoffs. Us and Sacramento are the two teams I feel like they're going to the playoffs with the most momentum. And I think we have a better chance in Sacramento to make a real deep playoff run in the Eastern Conference. Because I think the West is a little bit better than the East right now. And I look at it, I'm like, all right, we play Cleveland. We're going to beat them in 6 games. That's my prediction. Second round, if we're hot and super confident and we play Milwaukee, we can take that shit to 7 and beat them. And then I'm not worried about Philly or Cleveland or Boston after that if we beat Milwaukee. So I think it's possible. I'm going to go ahead and say it and put it out there in the universe and be the first person to say it and have it chronicled, on this video. I think it's very possible. If we don't, I'm still gonna love this team. It's not a failed postseason if we lose in the second round to Milwaukee or Boston or Philly. It's a success, and keep Tom Thibodeau for another season. But I really think the way this team is clicking and how well Tibbs is coaching and how great Brunson's playing, we can beat anybody.
I just want to say something right quick, because when Lee said this yesterday, I was kind of like, I'm not sure. But then I looked at the schedule. The last game the Knicks played the Bucks this season was January 9th. That was before the Knicks traded for Josh Hart, and that's before the Knicks really started hitting a stride. So I'm not saying Lee is right, because I still pick the Bucks. I still pick the Bucks over the Knicks if they face each other in the second round. But it'll be interesting to see how the Bucks do against this new Knicks team, because the Bucks hasn't faced this version of the Knicks.
Facts.
Either. And I just noticed that. And I just noticed that after the show yesterday when I looked up the Knicks schedule. That's all I'm going to say.
Bud's a good coach. I think Tibbs is better. Bud's not a bum, but I think Thibodeau is a better coach. You swap Bud for Tibbs the year they won the championship. What was that, 2021? They still win the championship with Giannis. I think Tibbs is the best coach in the Eastern Conference outside of Spo.
Woo, man, you got Ryan with you, man. Did you take Ryan? Did you hear that Ryan? But your
Let's go.
Yeah, I feel like Lee is at Vegas, and he's just like rolling dice, and he's like 7. Yes. Let me get 7. Yes.
Let's keep it going.
You know what? One more time.
We're playing with house money, man. It's been a hell of a season. There's nothing that can stop this regular season from being a success. Even if we'd have beaten the first round, the regular season was still a success. And I'm overly confident we are going to beat the Cavs, because I'm just looking at the roster and how weak they are at the 3, how limited their front court is offensively, how bad their bench is, and their head coach has never coached in the playoffs before, ever. I'm confident Tom Thibodeau and these New York Knicks will whoop them in the first round. And after that, man, the sky's the limit. I've seen crazier.
This is all I'm going to say. The Cavs, I think we beat the Cavs. I have no argument for you there. The Bucks. Our Bucks games have been close. I remember the last time we played the Bucks. To me, we specifically lost because our bench was trying to close that game, and we had McBride in trying to guard these taller players, and we getting cooked. And you are right; they have not faced us with Josh Hart. We are a different team, and also Quentin Grimes hasn't reached another level of confidence that he never had early season. But they also didn't have Middleton yet. So we have not faced the Bucks with Middleton as of yet as well. Plus, there is a difference between playoffs and regular season. When you watch these teams that make deep playoffs runs, like the Bucks and those guys, sometimes it's harder to get up for certain games, and things can get a little bit closer because they're like, I played 100 games last season. Got to the finals, got the second round. Sometimes you tend to coast. Now the Bucks, they still end up. Their coasting hasn't really been coasting. Their coasting has been we're still the best team in the East. But what I'm really saying is I don't all the way trust teams' performances in the regular season who have gone to the second round, the finals, because sometimes those type of teams get bored. So that's why when I'm looking at the Cavs and the Knicks, both young teams, both don't have experience, I'm thinking, you know what? We can take those teams. But when it comes to the guys at the 76ers who've been there, done that, the Cavs, the Celtics and the Bucks, we are immensely talented, but I'm not sure even in the regular season, but maybe the exception of the Celtics, I still feel like we might be able to beat the Celtics, but I still feel like the Celtics has another gear when they care in the postseason versus the Rays.
The Bucks are the only team in the Eastern Conference that the Knicks can match up with as a higher seed that's actually won a championship. So, and we have seen historically the level of incompetence and choke that Doc Rivers has done at every single stop that he's been in as a head coach. Every single one. And Joe Mazzulla, if memory serves correct, this is his first season in the NBA. Also, never coached in the playoffs before. Tibbs, I know he ain't the best playoff winning coach, but I think this team is bought in and he has their ear so strongly, and they're so motivated by him, willing to run through a wall for him, that I think that the overall talent can outmatch any other team based on the momentum that this team's going to the playoffs in. I really believe that because we're deep, and if Randle is having an off night, we're not one-dimensional like these other guys. Hart steps up, Grimes steps up, IQ steps up. That's also what separates us from these teams, where Philly depends so much on Embiid, Milwaukee depends so much on Giannis, and Boston depends so much on Tatum. Give Brown his props too. But we are a team unit where multiple guys on any given night can drop 30. We got like 7 guys who can do that. And I'm putting Obi in that category as well, because I've seen it happen. So we're a dangerous team. We're a hard out, and nobody wants to see us in the first round. You know, Cleveland was praying for Brooklyn to meet us in the first round, to meet them in the first round. And it ain't happening, Betty. You're getting the Knicks, and we're going to smack your ass.
Yeah. I mean, Jaylen Brown ain't no chump, man. Like,
No, he's not.
Brown ain't no chump, dog. Like this, Horford has been battle tested, but like, I agree with you with the 76ers. Like, but Embiid is still a force. That guy should be an MVP. So even though we're deeper than 76ers, sometimes when you have that one guy who can just bust your ass, ask the Bulls and Michael Jordan, like there's nothing you can do. And I feel like if healthy, Embiid is that guy where when he gets to that level, I don't care how deep you are. If that man is healthy, you're not going to stop that. Like that's how I feel personally. But it's going to take a lot. For me, it's going to be him. But it's also going to be Harden too. You know what I'm saying? Harden has to show up first for them to actually win. But I feel like there's certain players where we're underestimating on our road to the imaginary finals. I get the optimism though, but I feel like we still have a lot to prove.
I agree with that. But since I'm playing with house money, I'm gonna go ahead and push all my chips in the middle of the table and say that the New York Knicks are making the finals. I've seen crazier things happen. You know, when the Miami Heat made that finals run against the Lakers, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect the Mavs or the Western Conference Finals last year. Like a team that's hot at the right time, really crazy things can happen momentum-wise, based on momentum. And the X factor to me in the playoffs isn't even RJ Barrett. It's our bench. There's guys like Josh Hart and Emmanuel Quickly can be huge contributors. And the reason why we win a series is because all of a sudden IQ starts averaging 25 in a 7-game series. Our Hart averages 15, 5, and 5 in a 7-game series. And now we're actually beating somebody that we're not supposed to beat based on biggest odds or records.
Yeah, I can see it. Josh Hart is definitely a big factor for sure. I can definitely see it. I still feel like RJ is going to be back. I feel like Julius Randle's health / rhythm is also going to be a factor because the timing of this injury is so weird. You know, it's like, all right, he's going to be evaluated, one day before the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you say evaluated, right? Evaluated and healthy are two different words. Evaluated means we're going to check to see what's happening. That doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy enough to play. So that word kind of made me worry a little bit because 2-week layoff, coming back in the playoffs, like I can see fans going crazy, going back, having your first game back into a playoff series with playoff intensity. I can see that going.
Yeah. I agree. And man, Julius Randle could have a Willis Reed moment where you don't expect him to play, but all of a sudden he walks through that tunnel ready to suit it up. He comes in and hits his first 3 shots, baby. It's game over. Let's go. But I really do think Randle needed this break mentally. I think he was starting to get into a repetition where he was arguing way too many calls, getting way too emotional. This is a perfect time for him to step back, clear his head, get his mental right, and then come back and provide leadership into the playoffs.
I agree. I wish this 2 weeks is too long though. Like if when you play ball, like the thing that worries me about this too is like it's an ankle injury. So there's a few things that happen when you have a leg injury versus a hand injury. And one of the things is your wind is correct. Because now you're not running up and down the court. So you have to work back into basketball shape. Then you have to get your timing right, and you haven't played in 2 weeks. And you have to get that shot right. So it's like he has a lot, and he's going to be doing that in the playoffs. He usually starts off game gunning it from 3. He has to work all that back into playoff intensity. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But we'll see what happens. Guys, I'm warning you right now. Please do not turn on Julius Randle. If he comes back game 1 in the playoffs or game 2 in the playoffs and he's rusty, please give this man some grace. Please.
Yeah, I agree.
Please.
I agree too, but you cannot depend on some Knicks fans to do that, because even we see tonight, Knicks clinch a playoff spot. The Knicks win tonight, and all of a sudden, Knicks should trade Julius Randle while his stock is high. So you can't guarantee Knicks fans to give Julius Randle any type of grace if he comes back from injury and he's not lighting it up his first couple of games back.
Right. Exactly. I remember the same thing when Mitch was injured one season and missed like 60 games, and everybody was like, "Oh, Mitch is a center. He'll just be right back and he'll just be blocking shots." And then he sucked for like a month. He couldn't run. And then it's like, "Oh, he's horrible. He's horrible." I'm just like, this is what happens when you're injured and you haven't played for a while. You have to work your way back. Like, so I just remember that, guys. Just keep that in mind. All right. All right, yo. So salute to the chat. Gunshot. All right. Shout out to thanks for Timmy, Angra, NBIC, Paul Butler, Stanley, Novak, Cher, Brilliant Knicks, and everybody else was rocking with the KOT show. If you like the show so far, hit the like, subscribe. There's usually a bunch of gunshots and all this other craziness that happens in between all the crazy conversation. I don't have all my stuff set up because I have moved from Brooklyn to Jersey. Weird. But as I'm progressing, all that stuff will be back. So salute to you guys for watching the show. Hope you're enjoying it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have any last word. You want to have a topic that you want to discuss that's on your heart. We can go about that right now.
I got a question for y'all.
Sure.
So obviously y'all know what my ceiling for this team is. I think we can go to the finals. What do you guys think? Not realistic. The highest, like your best foot forward, most optimistic. How far can we go in the playoffs?
The most optimistic? Eastern Conference.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, me too. Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not fully on board to say the Knicks gonna make the NBA Finals, but I think at their highest peak, probably Eastern Conference Finals. Because I don't know if the Knicks can, like for example, if the Knicks get by the Bucks, I don't know if they can get by 2 tough teams
Gotcha.
and like a 6-7 games, in 6-7 games. So that's the only thing that's keeping me back a little bit from saying finals.
Very fair. What do you think would have to happen in order for us to make the finals? What X factor or scenario would have to go perfectly for us to do that?
Everybody has a click because we already know Jalen Brunson is going to show up. We know that. It's really going to be the secondary guys. Like, well, first Julius Randle has to be back to regular Julius Randle after injury. But to me, it's going to be I really like RJ Barrett still being thing. I really feel like Quentin Grimes is somebody. Quentin Grimes and Grimes quickly hurt in my mind. Could really be pieces to get us over the top. We have been top 5 in offense with bad 3-point shooting. Right? I feel like what would bring us over the hump would be actually for us to get our 3-point shooting on track. And if Quentin Grimes continue to hit 50% from 3, because I don't really expect RJ to do that. But if he can do that and then quickly come off the bench and provide 3-point shooting, then I think it can kind of take our offense to that top 3 level, 2 level. Because that's the only thing that's been missing offensively for us to really take teams down. And like during that 9-game winning streak, we were hitting threes. I think we were 40% from 3 during that winning streak. So I feel like that the 3-point shot is really going to open things up for Brunson in particular and our team, our driving kick.
I couldn't agree more.
No, for me, it got to be the perfect storm. Like the Knicks have to play defense out of their mind, and then on top of that, like they have another guy besides like of course Julius Randle, Brunson play their usual way, you know, dropping 20 plus, you know, Randle getting 10 plus rebounds, you know, Jalen Brunson contributing with 7 assists and things of that nature. Like they would have to be consistent with that, and then I think there would have to be a third scorer on top of that where, you know, out of nowhere, he's dropping 20 plus points a game as well, where it's like you have 3 players that's contributing at least 60 plus points on the Knicks and great defense. I think that'll get them over the top.
Great points. Yeah, I agree with all that. I think the 3-point shooting is going to be key. We have to maintain our top 5 offense in the NBA. And I think we have to play up to our potential as a defensive unit. Tibbs, I think, can steam well enough for us to have a good game plan going from game to game and series to series. But the guys ought to execute too on rotations and fight through screens and do the little things it takes to win a game. But that's where I point the guys at IQ, Grimes, and Hart, and Hartenstein and Mitch. They're willing to do those things. It's really the guys like RJ and Brunson and Randle. They also have to do their little things. And sometimes, you know, those things are missed in lieu of them having a high scoring output. But it's a lot comes down on Randle's shoulders, man. If he can be who he is in the regular season, man, it's hard to find a ceiling for this team in the playoffs.
Yeah. Also the matchups too, right? Because we beat the Cavs. What's going on? Because I think right now we have the Celtics 1, and we have the Bucks 1 and Celtics 2. But yeah. I know the Celtics have been kind of catching the Bucks a little bit. But so I'm not sure what that situation is right now. Like
Boston's a game and a half behind Milwaukee.
Like, I don't know if some crazy finish happens where Celtics actually won and the Bucks are 2, then that can be really interesting because although I feel like there's a chance that, you know, people are underestimating the Bucks, I mean, the Celtics, I do feel like we matched up with the Celtics a lot more depending on how they coach it. You know what I mean? Because Robert Williams versus Mitch, they're kind of both traditional bigs. If they start to go Al Horford more and he catches his stride playing a small ball 5, you might have a little bit more problems. But depending on how they coach that game, I feel like even though that's going to be tough, I still feel like we match up a little bit better versus the Celtics.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah. Good question, Lee. Good question. All right. Salute to the chat, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I don't know if I missed anybody. All right. Shout out to New Rican. Shout out to All in Lewis. Shout out to Michael Moss. And everybody rocking the show. Listen, there might be a change coming with the show. Slight change. This very small change. Nothing big. Friday shows. Fridays is usually the show where everybody's out, and we used to be me, Lee, and a few people. But we might change up. We might change it up and do Friday night shows on Saturday. Unless it's a back-to-back. If there's a Friday Saturday game, then we'll keep it. We'll do Friday show and a Saturday show. But if there's no back-to-back, we might think about moving Friday to Saturday so you guys can enjoy the game, enjoy the post game with us on Saturday. Let me know, guys, what you think. But because y'all seem to enjoy it on Saturday when it happens. So hey, let's ride that way. But so shout out to you guys. Great show for you guys, man. And thank you guys for holding it down. I really love the KO team, man. I really love our team. Lee, great addition to have you on the squad. It's actually made the team a little bit more stable. Or like if something crazy happens where I can't do it, like then I know it's you and Ryan and not just Ryan by ourselves. Or so I really appreciate you joining the team. Ryan did a great job hosting. So yeah, and shout out to Fritz too, who stepped up. Shout out to Alex, who makes the graphics for us. I'm really loving the squad. It's been like a slow brick build of KOC. But we're going to keep building, and yeah, I still feel like there's some big things to come for us. So shout out to Chris Williamson, who just retweeted us out of nowhere.
I saw that.
Shout out to him. And shout out to Chuck D too. Chuck low key supporter. So shout out to you, Chuck. All right. That's our show. I don't know if you got anything else you want to say, or any cool comments you want to recognize.
I do think Stanley does deserve a pause in the chat because he said you could do the show naked. So yeah, that's a big
Pause.
Stanley, due to YouTube monetization has taken a hit. I'm gonna let you guys know right now that YouTube has demonetized a lot of stuff and made things weird. So you don't get as much ad money as we used to. And I think being naked would drop it even. I'm pretty sure there's a copyright strike or something. There's a strike somewhere in here. I'm just guessing. But yeah, sorry, Sam. Oh man. All right. Yo, that's our show, man. That's that show. You can let them know where they can find you.
Find me on Twitter. I'm gonna be arguing with Mavs fans tonight because I'm really pissed off at the Mavs. Just don't know how to win a game, even when it matters for the Knicks to get that draft pick. They're still just dropping L after L, man. Couldn't happen to a worse fan base in the Mavs. So find me on Twitter @_Lee Escobedo. Very happy to be a part of a show. Love JL to death, man. Ryan's my main man. Love Fritz, all the mods. It's great to be a part of a KOT team. Can't wait for the playoffs.
Thanks, yo. Yeah, bro to the Mavs for trying to tank for Victor at the 9th hour. That's crazy.
Total ass.
Yeah. Ryan G, man, let him know where you can find you, sir.
You can find me on Instagram at Sir G is chilling.
Sir G is chilling.
That's SIR GSCHILLI. And you can also find me on Sir G's Corner. You can also find me on Twitter at Ryan G KOT. And yeah, the Mavs. I mean, come on, yo. You have a team of Luka and Kyrie. You tell me y'all can't win more than you lose? Come on now.
Yo, Luka gotta be out of here, bro.
I know.
He's fed up. Don't waste your career. Don't be Damian Lillard. Don't do it. All right.
No, come to New York.
Welcome.
All right. Oh man, yo, shout out to my real fake cousin went to Ellis in the chat. I see you. All right, so you already know the deal, man. You can follow us on the KOT Show on Twitter, the Knick of Time Show on Instagram, and Knick of Time Show on Facebook. Get the snapbacks black and white, blue and orange on the knickoftimeshow.com. All right, all you do is go there, the catalog, boom. And you already know Fritz is putting the links in the chat, so you just hit the link and boom, get your hat right there. Also, Fubu TV. Shout out to Fubu TV. If you want to watch Knicks for free for 7 days, go to FubuTV.com/KOT. And am I forgetting something? I usually have a screen to assist me. Oh, yeah. Listen to our podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. Everywhere you listen to podcasts, you can listen to the KOT Show. All right. That is our show, guys. Yeah. And as always, shout out to Worldwide West. It's everywhere you go. It's a worldwide mix, all right? That's our show. We out of it.
Peace.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.